Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, well, today is going to be what's referred to as the first day of Operation Windex, which is, for any of you that don't know, is a common window cleaner. It's in a blue bottle. It took the world by storm. Just quietly, it's pretty much absolutely useless. It's probably the greatest display of marketing. It's one of the best that I can put my hand on, because basically most window things that would clean windows are clear and have no identity, and so some genius decided to stick blue colouring in that and stick it in a clear bottle, and this had a immediately obvious, like this created basically an association with blue liquid and cleaning glass. The funniest thing is, like, this blue dye in a lot of cases actually ends up causing more trouble because it's blue dye. So if you clean a shower screen and you have grout, it will actually stain the grout blue. So it's a completely ridiculous product. But the blue, if it ain't blue, you all won't buy it. And I guess that's a good segue into what I've called manufactured consent. So there's a concept like of manufacturing consent, and myself as a hardworking manufacturer for my entire working life, I've manufactured all types of things, from windows that can be cleaned, from shower screens that can be cleaned, from mirrors, all that can be cleaned in a subpar fashion with Windex. And so I'm here to say that I have indeed manufactured consent here this morning, and it's a consent to overthrow our government in all its forms and restart the whole thing. I have enough evidence to sink this entire Australian Labor Party probably 7,000 times, but we like to make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row before we go in and send scary people with scary guns in to go and arrest people, and then bring this whole thing to an end. Now, like Windex, they created a just very simple. It's just blue colouring. They do no words, and the word Windex, but just blue colouring. So one of the hallmarks of really successful marketing is a simplistic concept. And now I've taught this thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in my files that will be brought before the courts to confirm my observations in Australia. But I've got to really break that down to some simple concepts right now. So the most simple concept I'm going to use is, the terms and conditions everyone does when they go on an Apple phone or when they sign up for a Facebook account or an Instagram account. Well, basically, our government is in direct conflict with those terms and conditions, yet have used those platforms more than any other government pre-existing in Australia to win an election. It's that simple. They've broken the terms and conditions. Now that's one. That's why the Americans, the US Marines, are going to be the ones that come in and arrest our Prime Minister and all our state representatives. This isn't a United States invasion. I assure you that Australia is well and truly safely in the hands of Australians. Okay, the marker point for this is our Governor General. She has a beautiful family history. I think it was her father was in the Army Corps of Signals in our Australian Defence Force. She is the King's representative here. Now, she is our kind of Australian monarch to hold the position, and this allows us to kind of have people like the US Marines come in and no confusion about the sovereignty of Australia and its identity on the world stage. Australia is Australia. It was a project conceived from within the British Empire, and it's still, thank God, luckily maintains some of its protection that still exists from the the structure of the British Empire. That is still really the best way to put it is it exists in the hearts, souls, and minds of a lot of people spread out all around the world, because they recognise that although there may have been some things that weren't good, it was a true meritocracy and a true structure that of stability and order and all these things, and really, if allowed to be adjusted to come up to speed to some of the new things that we expect from an organizational structure, then we'd as you can see here, thousands and thousands of hours of evidence. It's a non-violent. This is a very routine arrest warrant. Will be undertaken by the most highly proficient individuals in the world at this type of thing, and will go ahead without too much fuss. And there will be trials, all these things. There won't be executions. This is not kind of it's not in the same camp as some of the regime changes that have been seen in the last 50 years. This is a completely legal, legitimate, multi-nation, multi-intelligence, Five Eyes operation to re-establish true democratic order in this country, and then to reflect that outwardly. But I'll give some examples because people need examples. So within my morning's observation of Facebook, a social media company, I've seen, and look, this isn't the whole reason. This is just showing. I have, literally in order, which I've shown in the video, I have witnessed an Australian musician who has been thrust to the pinnacle of the Australian music, which is very contrived. This is a very contrived, very controlled, this isn't a true representation of Australian music, just so you know. It doesn't mean he's not necessarily a bad musician either. This is complicated. An individual who refers to himself as Kelly Holiday, which his true name is Adam Hyde. He is openly and transparently the romantic partner of an individual named Abby Chatfield, a reality TV star and social media provocateur. And he is openly singing and condoning the use of ecstasy, which is a controlled substance in this country, standing next to a Wiggle, who is a children's entertainer for multi-decades. So this is creating an appearance of legitimizing and almost like consent. I think he ends with the phrase, "Let me teach you," dancing in a very kind of provocative and sexual way. This isn't a repeat. This isn't like Elvis. So if we think of Elvis, we had Elvis shaking his hips and singing kind of about. This is basically like mass promotion of a controlled substance in our country. It happens all the time. There's all types of rappers and hip hop stars, all the things that do this. Now, this is the problem. His partner, his romantic partner, Abby Chatfield, was just before our election one of the only social media personalities that was permitted an interview with our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese. This also takes place on a so-called Oz Music T-shirt Day, in which the Australian Labor Party representatives seem to be, participating in some type of mass display of their patriotism towards Oz music. It couldn't get more insane. It really couldn't. This is taking place on the social media, whilst at the same time there is a mass attempt to censor the free speech of young people in this country. So they are basically being force-fed a woman who openly cheers on and says that she loves abortion with her partner that is openly spruiking a controlled substance in the form of ecstasy with a children's entertainer. I don't. Shall I keep going? Do we have complete consent from a majority of the Australian people that it's time to arrest our Prime Minister and his allies, his comrades spread out around the states? This includes Jacinta Allen and Roger Cook, whoever the Premier of South Australia is right now. And I'd also throw in, for good measure, David Crisafulli as well, although he's a Liberal representative. This isn't as clean cut as you would. It's not down left, right, Liberal, Labor kind of lines. It's really just anybody following the lead of this Prime Minister. It's pretty simple. It's like they have a system that they have arranged in the background. They have broken their terms and conditions. You know, it's kind of like imagine using a service and benefiting from that service, and then using that service to sell drugs with the legitimacy of our government structure, and then attempting to be the last permissible, observable individuals before thrusting the young people, so these are children, into their system. It couldn't get much worse. Also, on top of this, so that's to do with our Prime Minister. The other individual, Roger Cook, has been playing hide and seek with messages and mentions and questions and accusations and all these types of things for the better part of 3 years. He was the health minister during the COVID mandates. He is more than likely in full support, arm in arm with his Labor Party leader in the social media ban for children, yet is displaying the most damaging, the most harmful example of what adults are doing to children and to other adults in the social media environment. So we're in a complicated. It's like these are accusations made by the social media who are the patrons of their environment that they have created. These individuals are participating in the worst, openly, and with the authority presence of the government. They are participating in the worst possible example within these environments, and then attempting to shut them down. This, in my anecdotal opinion, is a display of their comfort level to do with very archaic control and incarceration strategies that they are all utilizing through our ever-increasing social system that is basically now should be declared as outright communism. So yeah, it's there is more than likely some provocation. And so, we basically can't get to the bottom of that until these people are enforced and held and, to show up to courts that will be established. These will be joint courts, just stepping through all the kind of legalities, hopefully publicly and transparently, so that we can get a true understanding of what really is going on, who are the provocateurs internationally. Look, I'm not going to make it kind of a mystery. The Chinese Communist Party has played a huge role in destabilizing our region and the whole world, really. And in response, we have elevated the confidence of true, independent, traditional value supporters, Chinese individuals, of sparking an uprising in China. And this is our next step in sending a clear message to the CCP that they truly have no understanding of our social systems, of our infrastructure, of our democracy, and have absolutely been exposed for atrocities on foreign soil. And so that is how we are going to justify our offensive action towards China. And we would encourage all allies of this AUKUS arrangement to do the same. We would encourage as much support as we can possibly send to Hong Kong at the moment, to North Korea, to all these regions that are going to need our help to push back against this CCP monstrosity. And so that means in Australia, this is another large thing that is being used around the world, is a racist strategy of basically just declaring Chinese. The Chinese people are not born and wake up in absolute loyalty to the CCP. Like any humans that are being oppressed by a monolithic structure such as the CCP, they have high aspirations to return their country to its previous glory and to rid China of this communist scourge. So this isn't an open call. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This is the moment that we need to welcome in our Chinese counterparts. No matter whether you assume there is CCP involvement or anything, this is not the time for that. This is a time to basically leave the door open and say, look, welcome. Like, we understand the control system. We understand all the things that have led to your possible actions on our soil, but we are sorting it out at another level. We welcome you as always to become Australians and to be Australians and to act Australians and to participate in this moment of democracy, in adjudication of democracy, in regulation of democracy, of exposure of nefarious strategies and schemings to destabilize the country and to keep it in in an old model in which corruption and tyranny can thrive. Do not be mistaken by the appearance of these individuals, by their behavior. That seems to be the archetype that they are instructed to do. Is that they're these harmless people. We just want the best for everyone. We want to stop violence against women. If everybody's enslaved, then there won't be any violence against women. This just isn't true. This is violence against us all. And right now they're openly celebrating the censorship of young people, whilst basically 1 degree of separation, trying to usher them into a drug and alcohol fueled monstrosity. And we are radically stalled in an evolution of communication and of societal kind of communication, like a conversation of what it is exactly we should be doing as a country and in this moment. This is it's as I've described it as a one-way street. They've built a one-way street for your children. They have really degraded the systems that were established in good order in a previous era by the Australian government, and have inherited these structures, neglected them, and basically turned them into like a one-way street for exposure to illegal black market commercialism. It's basically like, we're the government. We have a job for you. We're going to tax the legitimate sinful activity and then profit from the black market distribution of things like alcohol, tobacco, illicit substances, illicit pornography. It's the worst of the worst. And we really have been through 5 years of war. It's actually been 10 years of war, but the last 5 years would and should be into the future referred to as war if we hope to have, if we hope to adapt and to evolve our societies. We need to understand what has been done to us, how it has been done, and we need to have open communication about that. And the most important voice to contribute to this in their own ecosystem, in their own way, and with all the protections that all the previous generations have had, the young people of our nations need to feel safe and unrestricted in their conversations, in the exposure that they will inevitably bring to the misdeeds of these government forces over the last 5 years. So what does that mean for everyone else? It means keep calm and carry on. Do you know what I mean? There will be adjustments made in the country. This is going to be disruptive. It is going to be, where it has the potential of chaotic. Now, beautifully, our police systems, who look, you may look at police and you may say, look, they've done it all. It's like, unfortunately, when you have a machine as big as the country that we live in, a change in paradigm shift in the way that we communicate, the way that we act, there's stratification to do with the top people who have adapted and the lower people and all these things. If you're tied into an income from this system in the form of police and things like that, if you're in a top to bottom hierarchy, it's slow. But 5 years is amazingly quick, and we've been amazingly effective at squashing this coup, which is what it would traditionally be called. And so the police in most states, it's yet to be seen whether Victoria is participating in this, or whether Victoria has been lost and the Victorian police have been lost to an extremist sect, to an extremist, like ultra right-wing ideology. We need to put pressure on Victorian police right now to come to their senses and really, read the writing that's on the wall here. This isn't an opportunity to hoist swastikas and start goose stepping and Heil Hitlering across the country. This is the time to reunify under the very noble ideals that that we were presenting at the end of World War II. we will not tolerate any type of racial or religious discrimination by any public servants, any uniformed agents in this country. This is firstly and foremost, it is a organized regime change to open up to a democratically elected parliament, and we need to, because of the utilization of the social media tools in order to fill this government, and then the continued attempts to then shut the door. It means that our entire parliament is illegitimate at the moment and is filled with people that are basically, we can't do that. We need to basically send a clear message of what's been done, how it was done, what was utilized, what types of strategies were utilized, cleanly sort that out, and then re-establish our parliaments in a paradigm of transparency and like that, and of, so that we're all in the same boat. We're like, oh, okay, social media isn't this evil thing. Communication is only going to lead to better results, and we won't tolerate these kind of very third world strategies in our government. We are going to really put the hammer down on illegal importation of drugs, cigarettes, all these things. So not a good business to be in, not a good business to be 1 degree away from. In the case of nicotine and tobacco, I'd suggest to get on some gum. It's like legitimately, I have used all of the things. I've smoked, I have vaped, and now I'm on gum. It's not any type of, there's no financial kickback or anything like that. It just is better. It's a better result, and it's by far the cheapest, and by far has the least negative effects, by far, by an astronomical figure. And you can purchase these through legitimate pharmacy businesses. There's no need in this country to have to complain about nicotine withdrawal. This just is that. Or even better, I suggest you try and quit, which I've done at other times. I think honestly, if I wasn't under the stress that I'm under to do these types of activities, I would more than likely quit. And I look forward to ridding myself of nicotine, which is not a good, basically don't start. There we go. Don't start. So yeah, I said I'd try and simplify it. I got it down to half an hour, which is pretty good. I'm extremely confident in the evidence I have obtained, and the metadata that is wonderfully secured to really show what has happened. Where there's not going to be any uncertainty in this. This is, basically they've played a strategy, probably assisted by the CCP, that they utilized 60, 70 years ago, however long ago it was. But we have the new wonderful infrastructural environments of social media. So it's like social media is actually really pulling its weight and has been the largest reason that this can be kept non-violent, which was touch and go. It was a real risk, I would say, especially very early days, to push back against this coup using social media, as compared to direct military intervention. I stand strongly on my decision to do that, although it may have taken a little bit longer. I'd say the world that we're going to be moving into is like, I can't even put it into words how much more positive and egalitarian and ordered and structured, yet also like open to expressions of individuality. All the things that even this Labor cohort or this cohort of bureaucrats that have attempted this coup, all the rhetoric that they spurt, the true training ground and the sandpit of experimentation with these concepts is social media, because it has the ability to kind of hold these experimentation and shine a spotlight and kind of allow humanity to kind of thrive and experiment into these concepts without resorting to systems of control and socialization, like enforced, mandated socialization. It is by far, in the last century, is the largest contributor to genocide and to death across the entire world. So yeah, it's the training ground, it's the proving ground, it's the non-violent communication hub, and yeah, I'm sorry to tell the individuals who have contributed and participated in this coup, but it's all done. It's done and dusted. So this is my phone. This is what I used to do a lot of these things. I just keep this in there as a bit of inspiration. It's an ace. I like to play around with the magician's kind of tropes, so I always keep an ace of spades in my got my little thing there, in my lightsaber case. That's Rest Point in Tasmania. That's the card for the gym. The gym there. This is the Australian government, Services Australia, which in absolutely no way prevented me from starving, freezing to death, or anything. Why? Because I operated a business in this country. So basically, this is proof of business income. Yeah. Business income acquired from illegal black market activity isn't included in this. So this system of Services Australia is basically a Airbnb for people who haven't got their supply of vapes, haven't got their supply of meth, haven't got their supply of heroin. Obviously, they're not, they don't have officially registered businesses and things like that. If you do have that, you will be required to present a very ridiculous amount of, or you would have been required to present a very ridiculous amount of information before you receive 1 penny. We don't use pennies. Before you receive 1 cent from our communist socialist government, you would be required to basically, and the worst bit is, the real reason this is so nasty is because there are a lot of digital tools like Xero, tools like PayPal, online cloud-based accounting things like this that have been utilized in the global sphere to attack legitimate businesses in this country and to squeeze them into a top to bottom supply chain, socialized communist structure. So yeah, this is an attempt to use starvation against legitimate Australian businesses. This is just another piece of evidence that's being dragged out in order to use force in bringing this to an end. This is my official driver's license. It's like, where's your ID? Where's your FBI? Where's your MI5 card? I don't have one. I don't work for MI5. I utilize the intelligence, thing, which is an interconnected people of really historically tied families and companies and politicians, governments, all these things to prevent things like this happening. So that's what it is. Who am I? I'm this person. This is my identity. This is my West Australian driver's license, which I'm not actually sure is valid. That's what I've used in order to do all this. And that's my mum's RAC Gold card, which provided me with fuel that was majoritively used so I could show up to my community corrections enforced order that was illegally placed onto me under direct exposure of this illegal coup. This is an adult community corrections written lawful instructions. This is also evidence as to this is a completely fabricated, fictitious legal precedent that has been presented to me that basically says I'm not allowed to, you are not to record in any matter any supervision or any other session communication when engaging with adult community correction. This quite possibly is the most illegal piece of paper that has ever been distributed in this country. And this is an exposure of what this government, what this socialized communist government will do once, if they never in a million years were going to be able to do this, but what they would do once the social media was turned off. Absolutely unspeakable corruption, horrifically undertaken across our country, and really has been the first test on domestic soil in Australia, the first real test of our defence capabilities. And what do we use? We use plastic fucking lightsabers. So that's the kind of display. We did this with plastic fucking lightsabers. Now, the reason I can use a plastic fucking lightsaber as my main tool today is thanks to individuals like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk in the form of X, these genius programmers, technicians, business people, all these things that have kind of not always done perfect, far from. All right. I think I'm back. If I'm not, it doesn't really matter. Not always done perfect, but I'd say that's a pretty impressive thing to have done, because the alternative, I will tell you, 3 years ago, it didn't exactly come down to a coin toss, but it wasn't far from it. And basically, the alternative was mass guerrilla warfare and industrial scale sabotage of these systems, which would have, by the nature of the scale of the attack, would have been pretty insane. I can guarantee you, if you work for one of these agencies, especially this community correction, so if you're in that building right now in Mirrabooka that I was forced to rock up and listen to a Polish feminist basically, throw darts at my head for 9 months, you'd be unquestionably, no doubt in my mind, you would be in probably 600 pieces right now, and your family would be sweeping you up off the fucking pavement. So pretty clear message that I'm sending, and that's the same. If you're a prison guard at Hakea Prison and you've turned the other cheek towards these things and you play Grand Theft Auto while Australian fathers are illegally detained and abused and tortured in that place, you would be getting mowed down on Mitchell Freeway right now by trained military operatives. There is no doubt There were two realities in front of us, and any person you speak to from any intelligence agency, from military operation, from any special forces across the world, they will confirm that is really what would have been the only, in any other era, any other period of time, without these tools, that's what would have been happening on a day like today. So plastic lightsaber, pretty good effort. Why am I wearing a crop top? I don't know. I think it looks good. It helps me with my posture and my spine. And yeah, I don't know. Whatever I can get to not go insane based on the workload and based on the toll that this has taken on me. There was a insane amount of preparation that I did to be able to do this. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do have, if you do have an interest in intelligence, military, all these types of things, if I've inspired you to whatever, I would suggest that you get in touch with one of those agencies, with a recruitment, ADF recruitment, with whatever region you're in, British military, US military, whatever it is. You will never regret it. It is the most rewarding career. The level of professionalism and expertise and a real commitment to humanity and to elevating and, removing violence from strategies wherever we can, getting very accurate, very precise with our expertise is a top priority for all the highest level representatives of this AUKUS alliance. So do not hesitate at all. You will be put where it's where you aspire to and where you are, the highest level. You have the real option to achieve that within this system. And so, last little final thing. The annoying thing is this could have already disrupted. Usually when it gets interrupted like that, it doesn't keep going. So I might just be talking to myself or to whoever has cameras and microphones in where I am. Tails. Persons chosen from among the bystanders or those present in court to serve on the jury when the original panel has become deficient in number, the order or writ summoning them. It's weird that that's the only thing with tails. I've never heard of that. So that's interesting. It's a direct thing about court. So we're going to court. You will be required to front up to court if you have participated in this coup. R. It's literally just R. And that is the international cry for all the true pirates and descendants of pirates. R. Swipe. A sweeping stroke or stroke with a full swing of the arms as in cricket or golf. Wonderful. Straight into cricket or golf. And lever-like device for raising or lowering a weight, a bucket. To strike with a sweeping blow. And remember this fruit ninja, swiping. So it's like you're swiping. Not a good thing. It's like you don't want to swipe to find a mate. That's kind of Viking shit. Yeah, this isn't the fucking 1400s or the 13, whatever it is. You want to go and mingle. You want to mingle. You don't want to swipe. How did you find your partner? I swiped them. Ooh. Swipe means to steal as well. I wonder if it even says that. Swipe. Yeah, colloquialism, to steal. Language is really important. So I hope this is in here. I'm going to be really pissed off if it isn't. You don't want to swipe your mate, your partner, your life partner. And if you have, you really should fucking reconsider the whole thing. Two more, I think. Domain. An estate, any land held in possession. So my property in Gingin is my domain. I am defending the domain that my father left to my mother that has been utilised in an attack on his only remaining heir. And my father was born in Hobart, directly across the road from the domain in Hobart. So, thanks, Dad. I've got your jacket on. Thank you for all your guidance and assistance in this. And I miss you every day. Thank you. Vaseline, a translucent yellowish or whitish semi-petroleum product, a form of petroleum used in remedial ointment and internal remedy and in various medicinal and the Vaseline. So, Albo, take a little tub of Vaseline. Roger Cook, little tub of Vaseline with you as you go, or put it on your first of your on your shop list as you in remand. It'll make the whole thing just slide in a lot easier, and you won't even fucking feel it. All right. Hooroo. Thank you.